Hello there, you're listening to Zolimali's Thoughts and Knots, where I talk about the things that interest me or bothers me, but most of the time it would be the things that I could not say or speak out loud, because in real life I am pretty much very quiet, and also I do not know how to open up my thoughts and feelings in real life. And because of that, in order for me to not have my thoughts in knots, so I just unjumble them in my podcast so that I don't have to feel stressed out or depressed. Yeah. So before I start, I'm going to say this. After this 7-day 7 episode challenge, uh, I'm planning to not release once a week anymore because I've grown accustomed to recording and recording every day, almost every day. I mean, right now I'm recording every day. And since I've grown accustomed to that, and then going back to releasing once a week seems like I'll be dissatisfied with it. So I'll be planning to release 5 episodes per week. And because of that, I know one thing that I'll be incapable to do or cover, which is coming up with topics. And if I were to expect troubles to happen to me every single time to make it into a podcast topic, then my life would be full of troubles. Am I right? Yes. And because of that, to whoever is listening, I am open to your topics that you think like, hey Zol, I think you can talk about this. Oh hey Zol, I think this topic would be interesting if you cover it or talk about it in your podcast. And if you think of that, please just comment or tell me whatever message form you're using. Tell me that, hey Zol, talk about this. And yes, depending on the number of topics that I would receive, but for now I would try to talk about everything that you suggest. And also, if you're like, I want to talk about that also, and since people have this thing, they love talking about their passion or things that interest, and it would be like a waste if people are just happen to just suggest and not talk or joining the conversation to talk about their interest. Then this is another thing. Also, I would be open to have guests in my podcast, and probably I'll just do it once a week for that, because if I do always have guests in my podcast, I mean, it's a good idea, but I need to take it slowly before I go crazy and be shocked. So for the plan, 5 times a week, and one of the days in that week I would be try to have guests, because hey, think about this. It would be fun for you to talk about your passion and interest, and also it would be fun for you to say that, hey mom, dad, I'm on YouTube, I did a podcast, or going into a job interview and they say, what's your project, what have you done in your life? I did podcasts, I talk about this. And then hey, think about this as an achievement, but then I would rather think that, hey, I did this kind of feeling. Yeah. And last but not least, if you think this podcast is hey, this is a good podcast, or you enjoy listening to it, share it to your friends, share it to your mom and dad, share it to your family, share it to your auntie, uncle, everyone, anyone. If you think that, hey, this was a good episode, this is a good podcast, share it to anyone you think that would enjoy. I mean, hey, you can also share it to your dogs, share it to your cats, share it to your pet fish, share it to an alien anyway. I mean, hey, I'm open to anyone who is interested to listen. which is a very weird thing to say. But hey, I'm just open for new audience. So yes, from the previous episode, I was like talking about give me things to talk about, and surprisingly, to my surprise, and also I'm very grateful. Thank you. Thank you to Ainaiza for suggesting me an episode or a topic for me to talk about. The suggested material or suggested topic is talk about the whole excitement over Disney Plus, the future of streaming platforms, and maybe what are you interested to watch on the platform. And first of all, thank you for suggesting. Not only that I know that someone is actually listening, but also I get something to talk about, and I'm very grateful. Thank you. So, to start with the first question, the first topic, the hype over Disney Plus. So, I think there's like three types of people in that case. The number one would be the one who hypes Disney Plus. Second would be the one who does not hype over it. And the third would be like, oh, okay, Chad style. And yeah, because one thing about consuming entertainment, the type of audience, there's variety. There's a lot of types of it. Some are binge watchers, and depending on, because we're talking about TV series and movies, some are binge watchers. Some are like, they love to wait for a week for another episode. Since Disney Plus is doing that, they release weekly. And that does not bother them because they love the idea of waiting, the thrill of waiting, I guess. Because since we're talking about Disney and Marvel, especially we're talking about Marvels, Marvel movies and Marvel series, since right now is what they are releasing, it gives the fan, the one who are watching, time to excite over it, to talk about it in forums, online, and yeah, it just happens like they will be more excited with making fan theories. And it's not that I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just that that's just how they excite or they consume entertainment. They do not like watch everything in single go and then start fan theory at the end of everything, because I know it just is how different people works. And also, to another reason, like if there is a reason for people to hype Disney Plus, is because the reason why they're hyping over it is just because you fall under Disney niche and target audience. And right now, Disney owns a lot of things like Star Wars, Marvel, etc. Blah blah blah. And even, not to forget, Disney, like, there's a lot of animated movies, like, Lady and Tramp, Dalmatian 101, the old animated movies, hand drawn. Some people, if you did not know, with like Disney fans, there are such things. There are such people who are fan of Disney movies to a point where this is someone that I know. In Japan, they went to Disneyland every single week, and that was before Corona. Yeah, there are such people going to Disneyland every week, and she collects every single collectible, like to a point where she has this one Toy Story truck, the pizza truck, and it's like one of a kind. Not really one of a kind. There's like a limited release, and she has one of it. And like, wow, that is one hell of a fan, Disney fan. And yes, that is what I mean by when you fall under their what do you call, their target audience and niche. And as I said, in the near future, since Disney keeps on owning new things, their audience, their fan base, I guess, will keep on increasing because when you own things that people don't own, especially when people like it, automatically it profits you, it benefits you. And also the reason why people hype Disney Plus is because since uh, we all know that Marvel movies has gone a long way to be this famous, and it's for good reason. It's very well planned, and I like the way it is. There it's from the very first movie till now. It has been a continuous linear storyline. It connects, it relates, and it just forms a universe, Marvel universe, and people are like, "Oh, this is fun." I don't know, people just love having things to be related. Is a weird thought that I just have. And since Marvel movies has gone a long way, and then they're like, "Hey, what about making a series?" And that made people even more yes, because I think since we're talking about series, nowadays series do not just like it's just 30 minutes. No, it's always like 40 minutes, 50 minutes, even an hour. Movie length to be like an episode of a series. And that gives them more content, more things, more entertainment for them to consume. And it's a good thing because why? Some people might think that, oh, they're just milking it out. Me personally thinking, I think it's okay, although it's just like, okay, I have to pay more for this. For instance, we're talking about movies that divide into two parts. For instance, the very first thing that I can think of is Harry Potter and is it Half Blood Prince of Deathly Hallows that it made into two parts. But the very first thought that people think, oh my god, they're milking it, and now people kept on doing it. Okay, the very initial reason is probably they want to like extend to because at that time it was impossible for people to release 3 hour movies, 4 hour movies, as there are people above filmmakers where they will cut like, this is unimportant, this is unimportant, because they are not they are viewing as not as a fan, they're viewing as like entrepreneur or businessman. They're viewing it as like, will this benefit them? And they do not have the idea or mindset of like what the audience want. And that's the problem at the time. And that is why the idea of parting into two parts exists at that time. Like, and probably, I'm not sure. But now, if you think about it, dividing or making a single movie into two parts gives more space for people, for like filmmakers and storytellers to tell a wider storyline. Oh, I did not miss this point. Oh, I did not miss this point because, like, how how would you feel when you have like when you're for instance like you want to tell your life in a movie and then you only have like 1 hour time limit duration in the movie, you would feel like, what do I want to include? And that's the feeling, and some people will be like interested, so then as the in your point of view of the storyteller, you would feel it's limited, and in the uh, point of view of audience, it would feel like, hey, this seems so less. But in the point of view of businessman, then it benefits them because lesser duration, but with more profits to them. Something I'm not sure how the business of movies work, because when you're a creative person, like you're the one creating it, your imagination and your limitations is like There's no limitation. If people can, they would release like a 6 hour movie. But we have things to consider. Can people sit through it? Yeah. Now, since like we're talking about Marvel because it's what hype most of the people who are hyping for Disney Plus. Because not only that they have series. I mean, it's a good move because they were making movies, one movie, and then suddenly they're making like into a cinematic universe, and then at that one part, Infinity War and Endgame, supposedly you can make it into like a one story. I mean, in terms of like the old way of filmmaking, not really filmmaking. It's just how business people make money. Not really make money. Like yeah, they would like fit or try to like sumbat everything in one movie, and it's very like it's very rushed, and that's how it was. And as I said, it's a very smart move for Marvel to do like, okay, we want to go into series, but how do we apa, gradually go into series? So they made two-part movie. It seems like a two-part movie in the first like the in when people look at it, oh, it's a two. There's two parts of the movie. No, I mean it is, but at the same time, it it does not anger people. I mean, probably it does, but at the same time, it does not anger a whole lot of people. Like, hey, the first part is how they went down, and then the second part they will be going up, victory. Yes, like yeah, and then they decided to release series for like the idea of like the non-main characters like Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, WandaVision, because people love when the non-main characters, the less appreciated characters, are like getting a main series to be to like have their stories told. People appreciate that. Like, hey, it's like they relate. Not really relate. It's like the idea of the ones that is not the underappreciated ones getting the spotlight they needed, or they what do you call, not needed, they deserve. People like that idea, and that is why people hype over Disney Plus. Since if you look at like the plans that they have, I mean, other than Marvel movies, there are like other animations that or other series that they're planning to like put on Disney Plus. But I don't know because I'm not subscribed to it. And also, the reason why I do not subscribe to it is because I'm a binge watcher and I cannot keep up to like, oh, I have to wait another week. And to share like a very side story experience that I have with waiting for another week. This happens with mangas and animes mostly, or any series in general. I would be like jumping into like, oh, this series has been like for 3 months or plus plus, and then it's still ongoing, and I would just read it. I would read it, and then I hit the recent recent episode, and I'm like, oh man, I have to wait another week, and I would wait, and guess till when I waited 2 years. Most of the comics that I read that was ongoing. The next time I'm like trying to like continue binge watching it or binge reading it, it will be the next 2 years, and that is why I cannot keep up. However, with like the idea of like, for this is the since it's popular, we're talking about Marvel being popular on Disney Plus, is I as much as I cannot keep up with like the the slowness or having to wait another week, but at the same time, although it seems like, hey, it's just 1 week, you can wait, and then when the episode is released, you can just watch it. I cannot. Like, I don't know. I would forget. Long story short, I would forget what I'm watching in a week. Yeah. And the reason for people not to hype it like that, the reason for people not to hype it is because it's just because you're not under their target audience. That is all. Like they do not have Disney anime, so anime lovers will not like, hey Disney, they're hyping over it. Then it does not make sense that if like someone who is not interested in the things that Disney owns have to hype over it. That is what I think. I mean, hey, I think they understand that also. They cannot please the whole world to hype over Disney Plus. And if the whole world like happen to hype for it, then I guess they would fail straight ahead because they would not be able to. I mean, server is just servers, technical stuff. I won't go into it because why? I'm not really that cekang, or it's not my expertise. Mm-mm. And that is what I think about the hype. Whether you hype it or not is just because you're interested. And the second question, or the second topic, is the future of streaming platforms. Now, before I go into stream platform, I was confused. Are we talking about Twitch and YouTube? And I realized, oh, we're talking about these: Netflix, Hulu, Peacock, Apple TV, and now Disney Plus. We're talking about that. We're talking about TV series and movies, whatever you call it. Yeah. So what do I think about the future of streaming platforms is that streaming platforms will definitely replace satellite TV or cable TVs like Astro. Like nowadays no one watches Astro. I mean, even if they do, it's just because they just happen to subscribe and then keep on wasting money on Astro. And also the other reason why is that when you have like streaming platforms or like Netflix for instance, you do not have to wait for like, I want to watch this drama and it is on 7 p.m. I mean, that is what is going on, or how the cable TVs and satellite TVs function. They have like a set time or schedule. And for like nowadays, people are very busy. They are hustling. And with like the idea of keeping an episode online and then you can watch it anytime, anywhere, and whenever you want, that gives like people, oh, I won't miss a thing. Then that, I think, yes, streaming platform will replace cable TVs and satellite TVs. Other than that, TV series will also replace will replace movies. I mean, in terms of ratio wise, like, which will overtake, I think everything will be equal, same, but there will be more series in the future because, like, profit wise, people would watch more. And in terms of how it benefits the audience, is that they have more things to watch. And hey, when it comes to entertainment, the more the better. However, I'm not like trying to discriminate film or movies or series because I enjoy both of it. If a series is good enough to excite me or like, hey, this interests me, then it's a good thing. And if some movies are like, hey, this is because the idea that I can say, or the impression is that in the future, movies will be a thing that is one of a kind. One of a kind meaning that the story is as good as it can be already in just one movie. Like you do not need it to be like extended to series. I mean, depending on how people want it. If it's too good, then people will make it series to make profit out of it. Like How to Train a Dragon or Minions, cartoons. It's beneficial for them to turn movies into series as kids watch it. And that gives them more profit. That is business in terms of business. But in terms of like general way of thinking or how people think, movies, well, as I said, movies gives you like the one of a kind feeling. As like for instance, Kimi no Nawa, Your Name. That movie is as good as it is already. Like you do not need a part two. And what else? What else? What are the movies that do not need a part two? Like Me Before You, that film, that movie. You do not need a second part for that. I think lah. Because some movies are just too good to stand on its own, is what I think. However, series, there is something good from series also. For people who are making series, like depending on how passionate they are to the stories lah, it gives the filmmakers an unlimited space and time for them to like explain the story the same way how if you turn Falcon and the series WandaVision into a movie, it doesn't seem right because it would definitely feel rushed. I mean, there are movies that you think that feels rushed, right? Like, oh, like this guy arrives at this place and then suddenly, hey, they're in a magical world, and then the next thing they know, you are elected to kill the evil witch, and then suddenly they won. That is so sudden, right? And that is why that's why series exists to tell a longer story in a way that it won't miss any single part of like it doesn't so that it doesn't seem rushed. However, to like before the idea of TV series being popular, people make trilogy, sequels, movies, and before that, Lord of the Rings is also an example. Long ass movies. However, at that time, people couldn't like you know sit long to watch a long movie. At that time, people, as I said, people are hustling to live another day to get money. Now, since everything is online and you can watch anytime you want and you can pause anytime you want, especially, then it gives people like a sense of okay, I can do anything I want. I can control what I want to consume entertainment wise. Now, here's the unfortunate part of the future for streaming platforms. There will be more streaming platforms to come. Because why? Since TV series will be popular and people will be making a lot of it to a point where certain platforms cannot take it, or interests will branch into the interest will branch into new things, then people or business people would take advantage to make another streaming platform with like different benefits. It is what I think. And that is unfortunate because why? I think it's already enough. There's Prime, there's Netflix, there's Disney Plus, there's Hulu, there's like Apple TV. What else? I mean, there's like a few, but then I think it's already enough because thinking about consumers, would you try to subscribe into like seven different streaming platforms that you have to pay like $100 per month, which would mean that you have to pay like $700 per month. And it's not like you can watch every single series, right? And that is why the unfortunate part is. Yeah, that is kind of one of it. And the other like the other part of the question is like, what are you interested to watch on the platform? Now, series does not work for me because as much as I said I cannot keep up and I'll miss it, I actually do not miss anything because people Instagram when you open explore and then you just scroll. Oh, spoiler. and you did not miss anything because people are very kind to spoil every single thing on the internet when they say do not spoil. I mean, they did not put that disclaimer anyway, but at the same time, yeah, because probably I just couldn't keep up with people like that. Then I end up getting spoiled, is what I would say. But if I were to have like to subscribe on Disney Plus, since I'm not subscribed to it, I would love to watch Luca. I mean, it's going to be released on June 18th. And what interests me is that since it's just a movie, I mean, not it's just a movie, it's a one movie. And me, I call myself, as weird as it sounds, I call myself the son of the sea since my dad is a diver. But then it doesn't make any sense. I just call myself son of the sea because I just love the sea that much. And Luca is something that really like makes me like feel like a kid again. Not really like how do I say it? Since I love the idea of being able to breathe underwater. And that is something that is like, hey, the movie is about like set in a beautiful seaside town on the Italian Riviera. The original animated feature is a coming of age story about one young boy experiencing an unforgettable summer filled with gelato, pasta, and endless scooter rides. I'm just reading from Google because if I just say what interests me, then does not explain what the movie is. Luca shares these adventures with his newfound best friend, but all the fun is threatened by the deeply held secret. He is a sea monster from another world just below the water surface. Now that interests me a lot. Because why? If you're a sea monster and then you can change into human, I would love to be like that. And yeah, as I said, it makes me fantasize again like how great it would be if I could breathe underwater or just be a sea monster, half human, half sea monster to boot with. And that is one of it. But in general, what types of like things or series or movies that I love to watch or what the type of genre is would be there's two uh psychology thriller or slice of life, and I can give you two examples, two of my favorite series. The psychologist thriller is Sannen Egumi, or what do you call Sannen Egumi in English? Sannen Egumi. Sannen Egumi. Ima kara minasan wa hitojichi desu. Meaning that the literal, what you call the literal translation is Class 3A, all of you are hostages from now on. And it's a very nice series starring Suda Masaki. And it's about, if you're not, if you watch it, thumbs up. If you haven't watched it, I would advise you to. I mean, I wouldn't advise, I would just recommend you to watch it. Because I think it would interest to people who are like, who have grudges with high school and education system or schools in general. Education is important, but the system is messed up. So if you have like that kind of thought, then Sannen Egumi or Class 3A, just search 3 Nen A Gumi, then you would find the show. It's about this teacher making his student as holding his student as hostages to teach them a final lesson. The final lesson about life that schools won't teach. And it's about like issues. It's very like heavy issues like bullies. What else? Poverty. There's a lot of issues covered in that show, and it was it's kind of old. It's like how what year was it released? It was released when 2009. Well, I guess it's kind of old. 2019. Uh, it seems old because the topic that the series covered is pretty much something that is kind of like has been happening a lot a long time ago, but then it's a good start to yeah. Long story short, if you're like thinking that the school is a messed up place, as I said, education is important, but school is messed up and the system is also messed up. Then if you think of that, and then the issues within schools like bullies and trying to fit in with people like, oh, they're richer than I am, and this is like the difference of like, what do you call, group of people, and trying to talk about interest and different of interest. And if you're like, if you have like those kind of, hey, I want to have more TV shows that talk about this, then the show 3 Nen San Nen Egumi Class 3A is something that you should watch. I recommend. And plus, if you're a fan of Suda Masaki, then you should watch it. Yeah. And another thriller psychology based in school kind of show that I love is Lesson of the Evil. It's also a Japanese movie. It's a Japanese movie. The Class 3A is a TV show, a TV series, but The Lesson of Evil is a movie. However, this one does not talk about like does not it's not very the happy ending type, or like it this movie feels a bit anti-hero-ish. It does not it's very unlawful, like it's pretty much very, it's a mystery because the teacher starts killing students. For what reason? Because the teacher is a psychopath. However, for a good reason, because I mean, as I said, when I think because the main character is chaotic and lawfully evil, thinking that they're doing bad things for the good cause is what I would like spoil. I should have said spoiler alert. Too bad. But yeah, spoiler alert. Yeah, I don't know. I have this interest where if it talks about issues, like for instance, Girl from Nowhere is something that uh like, hey, this is a very nice show or series because it tackles the issues that people do not want to talk about. Mm-mm. I mean, at the same time, if it seems like very anti-hero-ish, it does not end happy. It's just a good way of, the extreme way of storytelling. If it's not lawfully good, then it will be lawfully evil. To be neutral would be very much real life. Because why? When it comes to issues, people will be like, hush, they do not want to talk about it. And other than thriller psychology, I love a good slice of life. And to recommend another TV series, it would be Midnight Diner Tokyo Stories. Now, this story is because I love the idea of izakaya and listening to people's story. I mean, I like the I like the storyline. I mean, it's not very thrilling. It's just slice of life. Like if you watch a single episode and then you watch something like a far, another episode, it does not really relate much. I mean, not really, I guess. But then each episode has their own stories and you wouldn't miss a thing. And also, the premise or the setting is very nice. The main character, there's no main character in this because the guy who runs the restaurant, the izakaya, is pretty much, no one knows his name, no one knows him, but people just come to this restaurant and it opens like late night when people are sleeping, and during those time people are very vulnerable and open to share their stories and trouble. And me personally, like trying to relate, not trying to relate, I relate to a level where I love cooking to a point where I would love to cook for people, and at the same time, if I were to run an izakaya, I would like to do that also. Just a small restaurant, and then just like very less people coming, but at the same time, since they know me, I know you know me. We share stories and problems, and we just let things out without having to stress out every single day. I have this problem and I have no one to talk about to talk about it to anyone. Yeah, that's why I love it. Yeah, I hope I did cover a lot of things because I think it's overtime. And once again, thank you to the one who suggested the topic, Aina Iza. If you're like interested in beauty, pop culture, and history, do go to her channel because she also does like what do you call videos about the topics that I said. And yeah, I'm just a very small channel with very small viewers, but then hey, this is the least that I can do because you don't know who's listening. Yeah, if you're interested in beauty, history, and pop cultures, do go to our channel. And I guess I'll just stop here because I think that is all from these thoughts and knots talking about streaming platforms. Yeah, it has been Bye bye.